You asked me an earlier question. Why would they kill you? In this incident of William Ruto, because I'd like to come here, I want you to understand there are two pillars of any government. There's the pillar of guns, and even the MOU I did with them was based on that. The pillar of guns and the pillar of money. Without those, a government cannot operate. All right? Those are the two pillars. A gun to protect people, to protect them, to protect money, and money to buy those guns. That is the essence of any government anywhere. I do not have guns. I am not a militia. I'm not trying to overthrow the government of Kenya.
But yet you say they're threatened by you.
Yes, because I've gone after the money. I have been talking money for the last 2 years. I'm going after the other pillar because they have broken the constitution of this land on the pillar of money. And it is amazing what has happened the last 12 or so years. And especially now being perpetuated by this regime. The illegalities to this sacred book called the Constitution are phenomenal. Phenomenal. So gone after the money. And all we've done by going after the money is first and foremost educating the people, telling them what their real problem is. Their problem is not the small numbers, and I call them small numbers in relation to the grand theft of the little corruption things we are seeing in governance.
What is it about your ancestors that makes you proud to be black? In 1991, there was a conference in France, right? At the end of the conference, the host, a Frenchman, decided to take 5 people to his house for dinner. And after dinner, he said, hey guys, what is it that makes you really proud that your ancestors left behind? That anywhere you go in the world, every corner of the world, you will see it. People have to rely on it every day. Say it without blaming anybody. Of course, the American kid was the first to say, well, listen, I'm a 23-year-old American kid. I didn't even finish high school. But you see, everywhere I go in this world with this blue passport, I'm treated like a rock star because my ancestors built a country to represent or be the beacon of freedom and equality. And they mean it. America is a country where its soldiers have gone out to die for other people. Everybody thinks of America as the place to go if you want to just blow up. The Japanese said, well, I'm from Japan. There are 196 countries on earth, and in each of them, every 5 cars, 3 are Japanese. Every hospital in the world, the equipment that has saved lives were built in Japan. Appliances in the kitchen, on and on and on. It's the most beautiful, well-organized, hard-working culture in Asia. We're not just Asians. We are very one of a kind. And that, when I travel as a Japanese, the way people treat me is because of what my ancestors have built in this world. It's what they are robbing off me. Now, if you are, since you are black, and you are the last person in the room, what would you say about your ancestors? That in today's world, from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight, this is what your ancestors left behind, that everybody have to rely on it just to make the day go by. What is it about your ancestors that makes you proud to be black?
Since we met you people 500 years ago, look at us. We've given everything. You are still taking. It's true. I mean, where would the whole Western world be without Africa? Our cocoa, our timber, our gold, our diamonds, our platinum, our whatever. Everything you are is us. I am not saying it, it's a fact. And in return for all of this, what have we got? Nothing. Anti-personnel indoctrination against ourselves. If you go and cook your horrible diseases like AIDS, you say it is us. You brought us tuberculosis. We didn't have this big cough until white people came here. In exchange for Africa giving Europe 500 solid years of our people, I mean, not Europe, the Western world, of our human beings to work your canes, to dig your gold, to take in gold itself, diamond, I mean, you know, fish, peanuts, palm oil, everything. In exchange for that, we have got nothing. Nothing. And you know it. Nothing. And you look upon, you know, white folks look upon us like monkeys. It is true. It's in your literature. Hey, you know, some of your best thinkers have said this about us. Have you heard of all these Germans? Have you heard?
Okay.
Yes. They said Lord Burton, people like that, they said we don't even have the brain of animals. That's what we've got from you people.
But don't you think that this is over now?
Over where? Is it over? Who said that 8 came from the green monkey? Is it over? Is it over?
Well, if this is your impression, do you think that you can ever forgive us?
It's not a question of forgiveness. I have nothing against you. My point is that you did and you are doing for your survival what is necessary. We can't blame you for that. The fact that we didn't do enough for our own survival and we are still not doing enough for our survival, that is not your problem. You know, even everybody that God has created has a sense of survival. You know, and if we don't develop it, we can't blame white people. You came here because you needed these things. You took gunpowder from the Chinese. You needed them to shoot people.
Do you consider AIDS as a new form of colonization?
Of course.
Why?
That's why. You know, my people, the Akans, we have a proverb. It says that good morning, thank you is never enough to salt anybody's food forever. You cannot build your life on thank you, morning, thank you, English, thank you, God. You know, which is what aid makes, you know, we are always receiving. Nobody, look, and I don't care who hears, nobody anywhere in this world is going to send you their best of anything. Do you see? Neither the experts nor people, you give us what you can afford. Aid is the leftover, really, and it cannot be enough. Aid, you can, when, you know, the world is, now the world is one place. So, there is nothing wrong if my house is in a crisis and you offered me something. There's nothing wrong, you know, because there is interrelationship. But a whole nation, a whole continent cannot live forever on aid. And I think aid we are in Africa, we are in danger of making foreign aid a kind of policy that is wrong. I think that it humiliates our people. The people in the villages have not asked anybody to go around begging.
There is no difference between Deputy President William Ruto. There is no difference between him and Raila Odinga, and Uhuru Kenyatta, and Kalonzo Musyoka, and Musalia Mudavadi, and Munde Awori. First of all those people are political Cassids. They can turn against you. That is one clan. I am going to give you a little history. The late Daniel Arap Moi when he was the leader of the opposition, the leader of KANU, he used to attack Mzee Jomo Kenyatta very bitterly. In 1964, Jomo Kenyatta called Daniel Arap Moi And he told me, I know you are attacking me, but we are both politicians. The people of Kenya, the hoi polloi, that is our food. Our food might run away. So you come, let us greet each other, because the Kikuyu, they come from the east, the Kalenjin come from the west. Let us meet in Nakuru, greet each other, and get land for our people in the Rift Valley. And Moi rose to become vice president and later president of Kenya. They buried the hatchet. Moi had taken Odinga's job, Odinga's job. In 1978, when he ascended to power, he made Jaramogi Oginga Odinga the chairman of the cotton seed and lint marketing board, because they are the same, they are politicians. Later, Mr. Moi greeted Raila.
So we must come down and ask ourselves, these debts that are killing us, that are killing this nation, whereby now they are saying university students, you have no school fees for you. And I've told you the budget, the current budget of Dr. William Ruto, the president, 70% of it is to go and pay debt. So we cannot sit pretty on the question of debt. If it's taking 70% of our budget, it's a state of war, and we must go to war. We must ask ourselves, what did this money do? We must be given a register of what the money did, how it was borrowed. The other tragedy is that of the money that has been declared as a debt, one of the issues I'm fighting right now, the finance bill. If you look at Article 220 of the Constitution, it defines the components of a budget. And broadly speaking, it requires that the national government must declare revenue estimates. You want to do ABC, where is the money? So if it says it's going to tax, we are going to impose VAT, we are going to add 8 more points, so raising it from 8 to 16%. What is the estimated revenue if you are going to raise by that? So that the Constitution requires that the revenue be declared in the budget. And so that you give revenue estimates. And the reason they don't publish revenue estimates from taxation is very simple. The law only allows the national government to borrow to do development. So if they were to show that their taxes will generate so much, then they would end up with a deficit for some of their recurrent expenditure, which would require borrowing. So they hide that so that after the budget is passed, they can borrow from the domestic market to finance recurrent expenditure through these things called the treasury bills. Those are the things that are undermining the paradise we call Kenya. We're undermining the law.
My encouragement to Gen Z, don't stop. This is your emancipation, and it's your economic emancipation. Do not stop. Because if you stop, mutakaliwa sawa sawa.
Ibado.
Ibado. Mutakaliwa sawa sawa. Okay? Because the problems ahead are more than the problems that we have found so far.
Oh, yes.
You see, I was telling you, Lynn, that he has been reduced to tax-raising measures, revenue-raising measures of 2022. So remember, we were talking about how much of his tax revenue was going to debt? Right. So he's going to come back, Lynn, and he's going to tell you, I can't pay debts. I even saw him somewhere in Embu today talking about the same thing. He's preparing people's minds. Kujani hapa, muje kwa serikali, I want everyone here, so that you see, mimi, hata nyinyi mwitu zakayo kama mimi. Eh? You come and deal with madeni and raising taxes. Because that is his only nightmare. Deni. It is taking everything.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
And he doesn't want to open up to any major investigation about it because he's there. So he wants to keep this problem. Today, the president is ashamed to meet people, to face people, cannot face people. You imagine that you have the whole Christian fraternity and the Muslims call a president a liar. His mouth has been taken away. William Samoei Ruto had 4 pillars to his regime. One was the church. The second were the people and parliamentarians. The third, I can assure you, was he had a narrative that he could market to people. He had a narrative. And the fourth was he had a lady called Meg Whitman, who decided she's going to fly his flag no matter how high. Those 4 pillars have gone. Parliament was cancelled. The people that were so-called with him, right? I can assure you that more than half of the vote that he got is out. His mouth has been taken away. His tongue taken away. His narrative taken away. He's called a liar. A head of state being called a liar by those who are the vanguards of our ethics called the church. He has nothing more to offer. Nothing more. Kenyans have given up on the man. He is no light. There is no future in this man and his regime. And in fact, every day that we sit back, let us accept there is no hope as long as he's sitting there. None at all. And in fact, the Kenyans have been quiet for 2 months. The Kenyans have been listening to only want one thing. How do we get him out before the term? This is not even about 2027 or Sijui 2027. People are asking, how do we get him out before the term? We have drawn up a script following the constitution of this land, Article 1, 2, and 3, that will bring an election before 2027. My name is Jimmy Wanjigi, and I want to be your president. I don't think I need to say anything else.
Yes.
That's it.
Why do you want to be our president?
Because I can change this country for the better. In totality. I'm what you call a change agent. Those people that just dramatically change the way something is done. And we have the ethos for it. We know what to do. We know how to do it. And we have clarity about the future greatness of this nation.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's why. As simple as such.
Very simple.
It's time to revolutionize our country and free out from the chains of the West. It's been so long that we've been chained by the chain of debt. And for the longest time, a man like Jimmy Wanjigi and a man like Okiya Mtata have always been talking about freeing ourselves from the chain of debt, which we have been captured by the West. And it's unfortunate that the previous leaders which we've been having in this country have been West's puppets, and they've always been following what the West are telling them. And right now, it's time we get to revolutionize ourselves from the West puppets and the control of the West by electing the leaders who have the interest of the African people and the Kenyan people at heart. And it would be so important so that we can have a better country in terms of, enjoying our resources and processing our natural resources and making them to their final product in terms of from their raw materials and to the end product. Because I believe it's been so long that we've been always exporting raw materials, benefiting the West and leaving us, poor and poor. And right now, I believe it's time, come 2027, the big question will be economic liberation. And it's important that we start liberating ourselves from the West. And that will mean that we get to, enjoy our resources, that is natural resources. And that will mean we choose a leader who will stand for the people and not listen and be controlled like a kid in terms of, the West powers, which have so long controlled previous leaders and even the current leader, rubber stamping whatever the West says and leaving our interests unattended. And it's unfortunate that Kenyan people or African people at large are suffering. Muammar Gaddafi fought for, the unity of Africa in terms of having one currency, and being supported by the natural resources which we have in this country or in this continent at large. But, they killed him and used the media to tell us that, to lie to us that he was a bad man. But right now, we all know that he was a rightful man who had the interest of the African people at heart. But right now, the seed was already planted that we will once come to have a currency as Africans and have a visaless continent in terms of movement in this continent for Africans. Because it's unfortunate that when a white man comes to this continent, his passport or their passport is unstoppable in terms of moving around this continent. But for Africans, they are limited by the visa thing. But it's time we get to revolutionize ourselves. And I believe in this country, the people to do this are the likes of Okiya Omtatah and a man like Jimmy Wanjigi. And I believe if these guys are given a chance to lead this country, we shall be at better hands, because we will improve on our GDP per capita in terms of from 1,200 to at least 3 million per capita. So guys, let me know what you think, and I really appreciate. There's hope. Don't lose hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can continue learning the most important things that impact your lives directly, and I really appreciate. Boom.
Now the next election,
Yes.
unajua hawa ndio watakuwa nasema fagia wote ama mtasema namna gani? This generation,
Yes.
they used their might because they didn't vote. The largest vote in the last election.
You like me, why them a fight me? You like me, chewing a bone, a bite. You like me, chewing a bite. Don't like power energy. We don't trust them, even if we bust them. We don't trust them, stay fine, not touch them. We don't trust them, hope your man not sub them. Infam, me say you must them. You like me, why them a fight me? You like me, chewing a bone, a bite. You like me, chewing a bite. Don't like power energy. We don't trust them, even if we bust them. We don't trust them, stay fine, not touch them. We don't trust them, hope your man not sub them. Infam, me say you must them.